Today I'd like to talk about the best ways to stay off of drugs. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kowalski. I used to be the biggest male stripper in my city of Baltimore, where I grew up for most of my 20s. And then I was running the nightlife in the same city. So drugs and excessive amounts of alcohol were a regular part of my life for a good number of years. I got off the drugs 9 years ago, and I've been able to stay off of them with a relative amount of ease. And my methods are a little bit unconventional, so I want to tell you about them. In that time, though, I've started a nonprofit called CityFam, which I'm deeply passionate about. I've written a couple of best-selling books. I launched a podcast and an online course, and even spoken all over the world. And I would never have been able to accomplish any of it if I was still using drugs. So I'm excited to talk about this. Before we get into it though, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not already a subscriber, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notified when I post more videos. Stay tuned till the end because I have some free bonuses that I want to share with you. So I wanted to make a video on this topic because I used to be an addict, and I originally got off of drugs 20 years ago, and I was able to be clean for 8 years, just really white knuckling the shit out of it. It wasn't a very enjoyable time in my life, and I really kind of felt like an alien in the world. I didn't do it through the program, I just kind of did it through the church, and it worked for me for a while, but eventually I relapsed. I developed a process 9 years ago when I quit using drugs. And that is what I'm really excited to share with you, because again, it is a little bit unconventional. And I feel like a lot of people continue to go back to their drug of choice because they haven't really seen any other way to do it besides the conventional method that maybe like NA or programs like that tell you to do. Not to say that those ways don't work, but they just don't work for everybody. So I want to share with you my ways. Drugs are really deceptive. I remember when I first quit using drugs 20 years ago, thinking to myself, how am I going to be happy without drugs? But let me say this, if you're currently using drugs and the idea of quitting for the rest of your life seems daunting or even impossible, then I want to challenge you to just stop for 90 days. Take a 90-day challenge, look at your life, reevaluate, and see if your life isn't better without them. Test me on this. The first and most important way to stay off of drugs is to know your why. You have to have a clear vision for what your ideal life would look like. 20 years ago, when I got clean, I did not have a vision for my life. I just did it all through determination. And eventually, I went back to them. I relapsed. 9 years ago, when I got clean, I started meeting with a life coach, and I got very clear on my purpose and what my ideal life would look like. And I put it into the form of a vision statement, and I read it every day, and I thought about it all the time. So you need to know, what does your ideal life look like? What is your vision for your life? Because you need to be able to kind of imagine that better thing out ahead in order for you to leave this place and go to that place. If you don't have a clear vision for your life, it becomes very hard to do the right thing. You have to know that you're working towards something better. How do you develop a vision for your life? Well, there's a few things you could do. The first thing is you can meet with a life coach like I did. A good one will ask you the right questions and they will literally pull it out of you. The second thing you could do is watch a video that I made last year on the subject. There's a lot of good techniques in there and you can start applying them. The third thing is I have a 6-week online course and community called Unleash the Best You at unleashthebest.com. It's designed to help you figure out your purpose and build a framework around making those things come to pass. But once you know your purpose, then it becomes all about routine. So years ago, I did a bodybuilding contest in my early 20s. And to get your body into that kind of condition, it was fairly systematic. You had to pretty much eat the same things every day and do the same kind of workouts and wake up at the same time. And everything was, again, very systematic and routine. And that's what you have to do if you want to stay clean from drugs, is you have to find a routine that works for you and gives you predictable results. And then you have to stick to that routine day in and day out, whether you feel like it or not. The very first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is I go and I hydrate. I make myself 20 ounces of water with a little fresh squeezed lemon and lime, put in a little sea salt and some cayenne pepper, and I drink that, and it just kind of wakes me up and gets everything moving. And then I go either into my room or I look out at my window and I spend some quiet time with God. I don't want you to think of this as, oh man, I have to pray. Like, this is your chance to get alone with the infinite, intelligent creator of the universe. And honestly, this is where I sometimes get my best ideas. This is where I bitch sometimes over things that I'm frustrated. This is where I ask for help. And it just is a really good time to get recentered. So I would encourage you to do that. The second thing I do is I read a little bit of the Word. To me, those are like basic instructions for how I'm to live my life. And I always say, if you want to grow, you got to eat. So take a little bit, even if it's just a couple minutes, and just feed yourself in that way. The third thing I do is I visualize, and this is probably my most favorite thing to do in the morning, where I close my eyes and I get deep into my imagination. I picture everything that I have to do that day and how I want it to go, how I want to walk into that meeting, how I want my workout to go, all the way through everything I know that I need to do, all the way up to the point where I get home and I go to bed. I visualize my day as vividly as possible. Sometimes I just imagine something good happened to me that day. And oftentimes the law of attraction takes over and good things do happen. The second part of that is I keep my eyes closed and I imagine my life in 3 to 5 years from now. So I picture a scenario of my ideal life, and I get as vividly as I can into that scenario, to the point where I'm walking in my house, I see my hot wife, I smell the dinner she's making, she walks over, she gives me whatever, I'm sitting on the couch, my big screen, like I'll get into my imagination and I'll start seeing what this life looks like that I'm creating for myself. And what that will do for you is it will get you excited. It will refuel your tank to go through all the hard shit you're going to have to go through that day. But it reminds your subconscious mind that, yes, this is where we're going. This is the destination. And again, the law of attraction will take over and you will start attracting people and opportunities into your life to make that scenario a reality. One of the other things that I do in the morning is I make a gratitude list. Okay, so I start by writing 10 things down that I'm grateful for. And what that does, it rewires your brain to look for things to be appreciative of over instead of complain about. Because as you're going after this ideal life, there are going to be things to complain about. You're going to have plenty of things to bitch about. But you want to look for the things intentionally to be grateful for. And that's what a gratitude list will do. It will start to rewire your brain. The other thing that I do in the morning is sometimes I journal and I just start kind of writing how I'm feeling emotionally, or sometimes I'll write out some scripture or whatever. But I like to write because it helps me kind of untangle my ideas. And then one of the last things that I do in the morning is I exercise. I actually go to a boot camp or I'll go to a gym and I'll lift some weights. And when you exercise, your brain releases endorphins that are very similar to morphine, very similar to drugs. So it makes you less likely to want drugs because you're already getting a fix in a very natural and healthy way. So I'd encourage you to exercise. If you have a 9 to 5, wake up early enough in the morning that you can do that morning routine and still have at least an hour to work on your dreams and visions before you go to work. You're going to give 8 hours to your boss. Give at least 1 hour to yourself in the morning. When you come home, work on your vision more. Turn off Cobra Kai and work on your vision. That's the way that you're going to get to your goal. And the better your life becomes, the more excited you're going to be and the less likely you're going to be wanting to use drugs. Oftentimes people use drugs because they're wanting to escape reality, because they don't like their reality. So what your goal is to make your reality better so that you don't need to use drugs to escape it. And the way to do that is to get clear on what your ideal life looks like and then work your ass off on making it come true. The next thing you must do is develop a community of people that can support you in making those right decisions.
So in particular, opportunities and events like this have really helped me to stay clean, because they've given me an opportunity to have fun without regret, so that I don't have fun with regret eventually. And I think that that's a real danger for people, because, you know, there's a saying that goes, idle hands are the devil's workshop. So when you don't have things to do and you don't have people to do them with, eventually you will get yourself in trouble. And, you know, this has kind of provided that much needed outlet for me so I don't return to substances or some other bad behavior.
So you have to develop community. You can do this through an organization that I started called CityFam, built for like-minded people to do life together and have fun without regrets. That's our saying. You go to cityfam.com to learn more information about it. If there's not one near you, you can always do it through a faith community. And I know what you're saying. Not all faith communities are good. Sometimes churches are lame and they're boring and they're weird. I get it. But here's my process for developing a community through faith community. And that would be, go to a different church every week until you find that one that you love. Just date a different one every Sunday. And when you find one that you love, go up to the information table, ask them about their small groups, and then go to a different small group every week until you find one that you love. Don't go to the first one. Could be a bunch of weirdos there. Go to one that you absolutely love. When you find one that you love, get involved. And then lastly, go back to the church and ask about helping out. Be a greeter, help out in the parking lot, be an usher, whatever, but be part of the solution, and that will speed up your process for becoming this better version of yourself. The next thing that you should do is volunteer regularly. When you volunteer, your brain releases lots of different chemicals like oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. And those things are very similar to drugs and will help you not feel that itch as much. So you need to be out volunteering, giving of yourself selflessly on the regular. At CityFam, we do a service event every month where we go out and we volunteer in our community. And when you do it with a group of people that you actually like, it's a lot of fun. The next thing that you should do is find an accountability partner. Some people might call this a mentor. And that's just someone that you can be really honest with. In the program, they say you're only as sick as your secrets. The word says, confess your sins one to another and pray for each other so that you might be healed. So it's very important that there's someone that you talk to that can hold you accountable and that you would let down if you decided to use again. So find an accountability partner or a mentor. One of my last methods for staying clean, and something that's probably a little bit more unconventional, is I use kava and kratom. Both of them are legal substances that give you just a little something to take the edge off, and there's times when you really feel down, depressed, or maybe a little stressed out. I see a lot of people that struggle with different things. Maybe it's alcohol or maybe it's heroin, and they continue to go back to that thing and that wrecks their life, versus finding something that gives them some little reward or some feeling of, hey, you worked hard today, and this is the thing that you can have that won't ruin your life. So that's just what's worked for me. I like to use it regularly. I actually get my kava from a place called kavadepot.com. I'll put a link down below if you want to check it out. But it's just enough of that treat that doesn't make me want to derail the train and go back to a thing that I know would give me devastating negative consequences in my life. So if you have a clear vision for your life and you're working hard on something that you're deeply passionate about, you're following a morning routine where you're becoming the best version of yourself and you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people and giving back of yourself on the regular, it should be much easier for you to stay sober. I know that people like to believe that addiction is a disease, and I definitely believe that people are more prone to use drugs than other people. I know I'm one of those people. But if you're not doing the work, then you can't just say that it's a disease and shun your responsibility. You have to put the time and effort in, and this is the way to do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment below with your biggest takeaway. Hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell icon so you get notified when I post more videos like this on this subject. I also have some things that I mentioned during the video, like my Unleash course. You can unleashthebest.com. I think that would be wildly valuable for helping you figure out what you were put on this earth to do and give you something better to work towards. So you can check out that at unleashthebest.com and check out CityFam, cityfam.com. It is, again, a growing movement, and sooner or later we're going to be in every city and town in the world, and I can't wait for you to be part of it. So thank you.